Hello, people. Happy New Year 2024. Just thought I'd pop on here quickly just to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart. I'm not sure how to define it. I was just stumbling through Facebook as I usually do, and I came across a site that was very anti the Linden method, which is a anxiety relief method. I've never understood what it was. It came up a lot when I was first looking at healing techniques and what to do. It was all very hush hush. What I liked about the guy, even though he seemed to come across as a little bit belligerent, was he was like, it seemed very confident in what he was selling. You know, could be a warning. Very scathing of the NHS. Not just the NHS, mainstream healing techniques. Obviously, if mainstream healing techniques worked, we'd all be using them. Like, why is this complicated? But anyway, it is. So things like that. But yeah, never engaged in it. A lot of it, I'm sure, has many flaws, very businessy, blah, blah, blah. But this comes up time and time again, this problem people have with paying for your healing. It's like, this should be rule number one on your healing journey. If you're at all interested in healing, like, you're going to have to put some skin in the game, whether that's money or time or probably both, if you're interested. And why wouldn't you be interested in healing? Like, if you're suffering, don't you want to stop suffering? And isn't that your priority? And it's okay if it's not. If it's even number 5 on the list or it's way down the list, that's fine. Just be honest with yourselves. Don't pretend that you're interested in ending suffering when you're not. You know, suffering is there for a reason. It keeps us safe and it's very familiar. And sometimes we just have to suffer a hell of a lot more before we're willing to look deeper at stuff. But the money thing is just so fascinating for me. It's just, like, for many years, I just did not realize how hung up we are on it. We are so hung up on money. I'm not paying for that. So why can't you pay? Why is it the moment you're paying for a product, that's it? It's already bad news. It's like, what you think other people should just give away their time, expertise to you for free? Why? And you know, part of this comes back to the NHS. Sorry, NHS, but why are you free? Why are you free? Like, I get the idea around it. It's brilliant. But the problem is it's tackling a much deeper problem, which is a lot of us are fucking poor. Oh my God, we're so poor. Like, capitalism is just useless, right? Most of us are poor as shit. A couple of people have got all the money. That's not useful, guys. Like, we need to spread out money. And, you know, then we won't care. Like, why would you care about paying £5,000 for a retreat or spending, I don't know, £100,000 on your healing, which is, by the way, your top priority, remember? Oh, maybe it isn't. If you have that money, the reason is you don't have that money because capitalism has completely and utterly screwed us, so that only a few people have loads of money, and they're not the type of people who are remotely interested in spending it anyway. So we just have a terrible relationship with money. You know, if you're paying for something, it's because you're invested in it. You're interested. You want to pay the money. You know, it's not just, oh, I'm handing over this money, now I have the right to be a bastard towards you. This is what puts everyone off, including me, in putting myself out there and asking for money, because people are just so fucked up about it. They just cannot link, they do not see it as a good transaction. Our system has systematically ruined us in terms of money. We just do not want to give away our money. So maybe the topic of this could be money. Money is so linked to our nervous system now, it's unbelievable. We cannot bypass that. We have to do work on money and all the blocks around why we can't earn it, what people think of us when we have it. You could just go online and find out all of that stuff and how people feel about people who make money. How very dare they? How very dare they? ask for money. Now, there's trauma on both sides here, people. Poor people have trauma, rich people have trauma. Trauma is all over money. Billionaires have trauma. There's no way they need all that money. But you should feel like you deserve some money and to be paid good money. Look at all the jobs out there that are paying terrible money and people putting up with it because of trauma. What other reason is there? They think so little of themselves that they're just looking, what will it take? I think we're on the cusp right now of so many things, but in money terms, of just people feeling like they have been abused and abused. We feel so much like the slaves of yesteryear. Like, we're just so tied to these tiny little payments that people give us. It's just so deep, isn't it? It's like, doesn't anyone understand money at all? Like, things cost money, people. I'm not paying £3,000. How? What a waste of time. It's like, no one is forcing you to pay £3,000 for a retreat to heal. Like, no one is doing that. You are doing that to yourself so that you can get angry about it. And you know what? That might just be the healing you need. You might just be somebody who can't get angry, and you need to fucking get angry. Like, get fucking angry then. Talk to these people who are charging you money. Say to them, I'm really poor, I can't afford that, but I'm really earnest. I want to heal, because healing requires earnestness. It's not just about paying money and relying on an expert with some qualifications to give you healing. Healing is for you to do for yourself. I say this out loud, I'm also talking to myself. There's never going to be anyone who can do it for you. It doesn't matter how much money you have. What you think, if Jeff Bezos knew about healing and the possibility of it, would he pay for it? You'd imagine he would, right? And how much would he pay? All of it, I'd imagine, because there's nothing better than healing in the world. But our system doesn't think like that. It's designed itself to suffer. So it thinks you'll lose everything in your healing. So that's what we're dealing with, people. You're dealing with a system that doesn't want to heal anyway, doesn't want to end suffering, because that's how it's surviving. That's how it's getting you through life, by all its little nuances and crannies. And when we really want freedom, we'll push for it, and we'll pay for it in any way, shape or form, people. And if we don't want freedom, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But don't blame people for putting themselves out there. And look, no one's perfect. There's quite a lot of I wouldn't call them con artists, but people who could do better. And that includes spiritual teachers. It includes people who have huge awakenings. They could still do better, because that's like what being a human is about. We need to do better. We have to be aware there are things operating in us that are fucking things up and making life difficult for everybody, including ourselves. We have to be vigilant about that. We want to be on that, looking at stuff all the time to make sure, am I seeking approval? Am I charging money when I don't need to? Am I not charging money when I should be? Am I on top of my system, my nervous system, that's seeking safety all the time at the expense of my freedom all the time, and holding back my emotions? Like, please, people, write your complaints on Facebook. Complain all you like about methods and how much you've paid on them and spent on them. But don't forget, you paid for that. You put your trust in someone else. It's not all on them. It's on you as well. And the NHS doesn't help a lot, right? It's not healthy. Why is it free? Doesn't need to be fucking free, does it? Like, why? There's loads of people using it who don't even know why they use it. They just go, my granddad used to go all the time to fucking the doctor. It's not healthy. You can't just keep going to the doctor for someone just to give you a pat on the back and to say, you're okay, don't worry about it. Other people can give that to us, but more importantly, we can give that to ourselves. And unfortunately, the NHS is a deeply flawed power structure dynamic that has been infiltrated by that. So it's not checking up on itself all the time. It's not at the cutting edge of healing science. Obviously, because otherwise we'd all be doing very, very well. And the NHS is way behind. You can't expect the mainstream to be on the cutting edge. It's always the fringes that will be on the cutting edge. But so what do you want? Do you want to heal? You got to go to the fringes to heal. You're not going to find it with your GP. He's not going to have a fucking clue. You know, at best, he'll probably meet you there. He'll go, yeah, I feel as bad as you do. What are we going to do? So yes, this was a little bit of a rant after reading this page criticising methods, shall we say. And I've seen it all before on pages I've been on in the spiritual community. The rubbishing of things, and the moment money is involved, it's like we lose our minds. Like, people, this is a separate issue. Money is a separate issue. Our system is making us all very, very poor. That is a separate problem to healing. Saying that, you can incorporate it in. There are definitely traumas in money. There are definitely blocks to earning it all over the place. And the way we treat the rich is very interesting, isn't it? You know, I would treat the rich really poorly if I don't want to put myself out there and earn money. Of course I'm going to treat them poorly. I'm going to say, how dare they be so greedy? And some of them are. They're unconsciously greedy, right? So what? yeah, we need to point that out to them and, you know, stand up to them sometimes. And maybe they're not going to be the type of people who give a shit, but we have to stand up to them. But that's on us. We have to be the ones. We have to even point that out to them. Sometimes they haven't got a clue. They don't have a clue what they're charging is too much. You have to say to them, this is too much for me. Even if it's a personal thing, like, and everyone else can afford it. This has got to come back to us. If we can individuate our problems, life becomes a lot easier. We don't have to rely on everybody else is struggling, so now I can be okay with my struggling. I don't care. I don't care if everyone else is struggling. I'm struggling, and this is my issue with this. So I don't have much money, therefore, but I'm really interested in your cause. Is there any way we can come to an arrangement? Things like that, guys. We've got to end the shame around money. There's so much shame around it. It's like, that's what keeps this system in place. Things like shame that make us not talk about money and how much we're struggling with money. And I know we're getting better at it. We are getting better at it, but we have to realize this is the problem we have. It's not with the odd bloke here and there charging some money. It's the whole thing. Like, oh, I'm not paying for that. Then what do you want? What system do you want? If you don't want money, money to me seems like one of the most sensible systems that we currently have. I can't think of any other better way. But I can also see that the flow of money is all over the fucking... It's ridiculous. Like, there's only a few people with loads of money. And unfortunately, there's also a whole generation, the boomers, who have the vast majority of money. Do they need it? No, it needs to be spread out and arguably pushed further down. Older people do not need as much money. It's just the naturalness of how our society works. It's always worked like that. You don't need as much money when you're older. And yet these guys have all the money. Like, how daft is that? And that's on us. We've got to be, as young people, we have to stand up to them. We have to say, that's not acceptable. You can't have all the money. You can't get all the freebies. I don't care about your stories about how you've worked hard. I don't care. It's not interested because we're stuck here right now. In life, I'm only 39 years old. I can't have worked 50 years. Do you see? It's not possible. But I still have the right to a life that works for me as much as it works for you. Like, why would you even want a life that works only for you and everybody else is ruined? It's just completely insane. It doesn't need to be like that. We don't need to be individual in that level. We can be individual and it helps everybody. Not we can only be individual to help ourselves. So yeah, money, my goodness, like, how much money for your freedom? What price freedom? I mean, that really is it, isn't it? What price freedom? Like, no amount of money in the world would be enough to cure suffering. It's just ridiculous. But if we're only honest, you know, straight away we realize, maybe I don't want to cure my suffering. Well, be honest then. That's all you have to say. Maybe I don't have to cure my suffering.